As you can see, I am super pregnant. Super pregnant for me means baby is about to pop out any hour, any day. So I'm about 1 week from my estimated due date. An estimated due date is a calculation based on, a typical 40-week pregnancy. However, it's just a date. Baby can pop out earlier, and currently this is my second baby, and yeah, the doctor said that he might pop out anytime, so get ready. So you might hear some drilling. So in Singapore, we live in it's called HDB. HDBs are government-owned building structures. They're kind of like apartment flats, and it's government-owned because Singapore's land is really small. I mean, Singapore is tiny, so a lot of land is owned by the government, and occasionally, every some years, they'll remodel like the whole building, and therefore there's a lot of construction to keep and maintain buildings, and they're just doing heavy drilling. So you can be hearing that, and that's a part of my, I guess, pregnancy experience too. And it's it's loud, and when you're pregnant you might want it to be like quiet, but I'm kind of used to it because it's been going on in the multiple HDBs, and also I lived in New York before, so I'm used to loud noises. I guess in New York was louder even than Singapore. I feel there was always stuff going on outside and construction and things, so I'm okay and kind of used to it. But anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to share about my super pregnancy. The reason is actually because people have asked me, like, how do you feel? And also my husband even asked me this morning, like, how are you feeling compared to your first pregnancy? And I was thinking about it. I'm like, gosh, I kind of forgot the first one, like some bits and parts. I wish I documented it, and so I could kind of remember, because after you go through it, you kind of like forget, and plus there's like pregnancy forgetfulness. So I was like, oh, I think I want to remember how I feel at this time. It's a very, I guess, unique time in my life. And also, yeah, for those who are curious about what maybe, pregnancy feels like, especially near the end, of course, just a disclaimer, every woman's pregnancy is different, and everyone might experience and feel totally different things. So my experiences might not be, every woman's experience, okay? But it's just my own. And the reason why this is like Singapore edition is because I had my first child in America. In California, the climate was different. He was born in a desert. And now I'm in a tropical country. Singapore is very humid. It's hot. It's very sweaty. And recently, the last 2 weeks have been extremely hot. So my experience of pregnancy definitely feels different. And I think also this being my second child, the first child, I just could take walks on my own, self-care, maybe worry about myself. But with this being my second pregnancy, I'm not just taking care of myself, I'm taking care of a, 1.5-year-old child at the same time. So it's a different experience, altogether. But I just wanted to share kind of like how I feel. And my husband also was asking me this morning because he was just curious, yeah, how does it compare? And I was trying to explain to him, and I also realized, yeah, guys might not, I mean, we can explain, but they might not be able to feel it because they've never experienced like menstrual cramps. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll share, you know, and then it might be informative to those who are curious about what super pregnancy feels like. So yeah, right now, the first thing is about like contractions. Okay, a lot of people have the concept of contractions being like maybe in the movies, like suddenly, oh my gosh, I'm giving birth, and then the contractions will be strong and you'll rush to the hospital. Maybe your water bag will break in the car, and then, you know, maybe you give birth in the car. I mean, it happens. My first pregnancy was, I didn't have very many contractions before the day, actually. So that one, the first pregnancy, I just, it was a Sunday. Throughout that day, I was feeling a little like sore, you know, like it felt like menstrual cramping, backache kind of thing. And all of a sudden, maybe 3-4 p.m., then the real contractions started. How do you know they're real? You time them. So it's like 5-minute cycles, and you'll have like 1 minute, about 1 minute of like strong, intense like contractions, which is a lot of like aching in this like tummy area. It just feels like for 1 minute, and then it'll release, and you have 4 minutes of kind of like, I would say, downtime, rest, and then it will go again. And if you time it with your phone, and it's about regular for about 1 hour, then you know, okay, it's the real thing. So I called my doctor at that time, and they said, yeah, come to the hospital now. And at that time, I was already 6 centimeters dilated for about 3 weeks. Dilation means your cervix, I'll show you a picture, you know, the cervix part is like, I don't know how to show this, but the cervix is this part, and it softens here and it opens up. So mine was already 6 centimeters dilated for like some weeks. And it can be dilated and opened up and ready, but it still might take some hours before it's like to the max, which is about 10 centimeters. Okay, you want it to open as big as possible, which is about 10 centimeters, and you're ready to like push, and like baby can go through the birth canal and like come out. So that was my circumstance with the first birth. Now this second birth it feels different, because 2 weeks ago I had contractions starting already. Now this might be different than people, you know, people who have never experienced pregnancy. They might not know about this, but contractions can start early. There's something called false contractions, which means that you know, you experience contractions, but they're not regular, like the 5-minute cycle I mentioned. They're just, they might be sporadic. You might feel like this for a bit. For me, 2 weeks ago, I had 2 hours of intense contractions. It felt like labor, and I was even contacting my husband at work thinking like, oh, you know, be on call. But as I tried to measure them, like calculate it with the time, it was just 2 hours of strong, like intense pain. But it ended after 2 hours. So after 2 hours it stopped, and those intense contractions, yeah, they're called Braxton Hicks, which means like false contractions that can happen anytime, you know, typically second and third trimester. I don't know, maybe they happen for some in first trimester. But for me, this was a new experience because my first pregnancy, I didn't experience any of that. I didn't experience any contractions leading up to like the day. But this time around, I feel contractions all the time in the last few weeks. Yeah, so these are called like false contractions leading up to the day, and it's the body like preparing and notifying you that the day is coming. Yeah. So since 2 weeks, the last few weeks, the last few days, especially today, yeah, I feel tightness around this area. And it happens every hour, perhaps. It feels very like, and then my back started aching. That was a new feeling that happened today. And my husband asked me like, what does that feel like? Like when I said the back is like aching. And I was realizing like, yeah, it's because guys don't experience menstrual cramps. So maybe it's a foreign feeling, you know, because they've never experienced it, whereas females, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, intense menstrual cramps feel. Maybe for guys it'd be something like you're flexing your core, I don't know, or like working out back muscles really intensely, or doing some kind of deep singing breathing or something where it's like working out muscles you've never felt before, something to that degree. But for me, it's like backache. And yeah, so that's how I feel now. And then regarding like legs, how I feel is that like my legs have been sore. I don't have varicose veins, which are like veins that like pop out in your leg, you know, like some people will have like their legs will turn, like their veins will pop out and be like blue, because why? The extra weight of the baby is quite heavy. So I don't have that, but my legs are tired, so I have to like sit or elevate my legs. And what I use, in case anybody is interested, is I kind of borrowed this from my uncle-in-law. Yeah, it's this like machine thing. It's like a massage. So I will like massage my legs like so, and then my feet. And I do this at night before bed, and that really helps to circulate my blood and massage the muscles. And in that case, I didn't get leg cramps, fortunately. Otherwise, you feel spasms in your legs because the extra weight of the baby, you know, you're putting on an extra, for me, I put on, I think, 30 pounds or so. Yeah, I think kg, I put on 18 kg or so. Yeah, so that's a lot of weight extra on my legs. So you'll get some spasms. But with massaging and stuff, it really helps to reduce it, because sometimes you'll be sleeping and all of a sudden it's like, you know, your leg will cramp up and it's like numb, and I can't feel any, like I wouldn't be able to get off the bed. I can't even move my leg. It's like numb. That's not fun. That's scary. But by massaging it with this like massage gun thing, it's been really helpful. I haven't had cramps since. So I highly recommend some kind of like good foot leg massager thing. How else? Fortunately, I don't have too much nausea today. Some days I do, where I'm like dizzy, I can't look at screens. Some people will throw up and vomit. Fortunately, for both my pregnancies, I've never vomited, but I've been close to feeling it, like when you're brushing your teeth and all of a sudden you're like brushing your tongue, and all of a sudden you're like, ugh, you know, like gaggy feel. It's like more, I don't know, close to that vomiting feel, I guess, but I haven't vomited, which I'm very, very thankful for. Regarding cravings, people ask me this a lot, like, are you craving something or have a special diet? Well, I would say for Joshi, my firstborn, he was born in America, so, and me being American, I craved like, yeah, some American foods often, like Tex-Mex. It's like Mexican, American style. I also craved burgers. Yeah, sometimes like I'd be praying, right? Like be praying, and all of a sudden in my mind in the morning, I see like a burger. And I have to, I feel like if this is what my body needs, and if I don't eat this burger, like I won't be able to survive the day. Or I'll like close my eyes and pray in the morning and see like a kimbap. And if I don't eat kimbap that day, I feel like I'm gonna die. So I had to go like search for like certain foods, like quite intensely, and that was like for my first pregnancy. For the second pregnancy though, interestingly enough, I had a bit better appetite, and I was able to eat you know, most things, but I think the thing I craved the most was Vietnamese. Yeah, recently I ate Vietnamese food like 5 times. I think the reason why I crave Vietnamese, it's very strange, but because my mom's from Vietnam. So I grew up eating a lot of Vietnamese food, but you know, I haven't eaten it in some years. In living in Singapore and in America, like our locations, I guess I just didn't have so much access. In America, we lived on an air base, so we were far from like good Vietnamese food. And then now in Singapore also, I just never had Vietnamese food in Singapore. But suddenly within the last couple weeks, it's like, I have to eat Vietnamese food. And so this baby, the second one, maybe, I don't know what it is, but needs Vietnamese food or some sort. So I eat like vermicelli, like noodles with barbecue pork, and a lot of vegetables, cucumbers, and then they have like fish sauce in it. Yeah. Anyways, that's kind of my super pregnancy feel. And oh yeah, in Singapore, what's the difference is that I would say for me, being I'm not always in air-conditioned location. Like when you go outside, or in our house as well, because we're quite economical, so we don't turn on air conditioning in the whole house, even though some people do. But for me, like being hot and like sweaty outside, I think makes the pregnancy feel a bit more uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm not complaining about the heat in Singapore, don't get me wrong. I know there are pregnant women, and I have a friend in Germany. She's freezing, you know, like, and snow is like a few feet high. So being pregnant in snow is not easy either. And I think people have survived pregnancy in all kinds of weather. So I'm not going to complain about being in the heat. But I would say that wearing a mask outside in the heat, it's about, I would say 90 degrees or so, Fahrenheit. So Celsius, I'm not sure, 30 degrees Celsius, but it's very wet and humid. So when you're wearing a mask and you're sweating to death outside, and you're pregnant, like you're like walking slowly and like trying to breathe wearing a mask, it can get uncomfortable. So sometimes I'll feel like I'm out of breath. I have to like lower my mask to like breathe, take off my mask to wipe, you know, all the sweat off, and then put back my mask, of course. So I think that's the biggest thing, is like the heat in Singapore has made my pregnancy a bit like uncomfortable, but not absolutely, you know, terrible. But it's just one thing with COVID and having to wear a very sweaty mask, you know, and try to breathe through it when you're already, your lungs are like half capacity because of the baby size. So it's like already uncomfortable as is. Yeah. So anyways, that is about probably my super pregnancy update. And I hope it was informative to those who are curious what super pregnancy feels like. So anyways, thank you so much for listening, and everybody, I wish you well for your pregnancy journeys, and please, you know, share if you have any questions. Okay, thank you.